Live from Wave in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Listens Live.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us here on Wave Listens Live. I'm your host, Brian Schlonsky. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Of course, it is Monday today, and we have got a great show on tap for you. Let's take you to the rundown now and show you the guests you can expect with us here today on Listens Live. We have Centerwell Senior Primary Care. They will be coming up here talking all about the grand opening of their newest location out on Dixie Highway. We've got the details for you on an open house that you don't want to miss. We also have Gilda's Club back with us. We will preview their Noogie Fest. It's a chance for your kids to get some fall fun in with all the treats and no noogies. We've got those details, what it all means for you. But up first here today, AARP Kentucky is also back with us. We will discuss the upcoming election. It is right around the corner, and we've got some important dates that we want to make sure you don't miss. So as you come back to us here inside our studio, I've got two folks from AARP Kentucky who are going to make sure that we hit those dates, hit all the important information, and we'll get that info to you right now. Scott Wiegenast is on the end here. He's AARP Kentucky Communications Manager. Jackie Stamps is next to me. You are a Kentucky volunteer. Welcome both of you to Listens Live.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
It's a busy time of year. It's an important time of year with the election around the corner. So let's start with you, Jackie, talking about why specifically AARP says, look, we need to educate voters, talk about some of this important info, make sure everybody knows where to go, when to do it, how to vote properly in this year's election.
Thank you, Brian. You know, AARP has been involved for decades in helping voters 50 plus know when, where, and how to vote. You know, we see it as very important because the biggest voting bloc, particularly here in Kentucky and other places, is people 50 plus. So in the last election in 2022, 63% of the voters who cast their ballot were 50 plus years of age. And we know that those voters are very consistent in how they vote, but they need to make sure that there aren't any new changes so that they can know when, where, and how to cast their vote.
We want a high voter turnout, so of course making sure that we are able to target a big voting group is so important for this election. Let's also talk about AARP women in elections.
Yes, that's, you know, AARP has done a lot of research and polling, and what we found is, again here in Kentucky, is that of that 63%, 53% of them were women. Women are very concerned about their families, their parents, their children, their relatives, and they want to make sure that they cast their vote for the services and support that they need to raise their families.
Well, this type of outreach that is being done by AARP, these interviews, television segments, Scott, just one way that you guys are doing some voter education and outreach, but there are several different ways that AARP has been involved this election cycle.
Every election, AARP for decades, like Jackie mentioned, we have been trying to make certain that voters are confident about who's on the ballot, what's on the ballot, how, where, and when to vote is a critical issue, especially after the pandemic changed a lot of things. And we're excited because, you know, we have 3 days coming up where you can go vote early beginning October 31. So that's exciting.
When we talk about how the election is able to go smoothly, right? We go to our polling places. You mentioned there have been a lot of changes since the pandemic, and sometimes people have said now coming out of this, I want to make sure that I can go back in person. And so to do that, we've got to have those polling place workers. Big need for that right now?
Secretary of State Michael Adams has made that a priority to try and recruit and train new polling place volunteers. And so many county clerks depend on their local volunteers that these individuals can be trained and come in and work the polling locations. And so that is an ongoing need across the state and across the country. You know, there is a lot, there's more days now that you can vote in person in advance, and those polling workers, those polling place workers are trained and they're dedicated, and a lot of them are members and retired teachers, for example, get in there and do
people
that
know the importance of this type of work. You mentioned that there's several dates, and Jackie, we're going to pull up a graphic here so the folks at home can see, but I want to make sure that we hit these because there's a lot leading up to Election Day itself that we want to make sure the AARP Kentucky members know about. Let's walk through some of these.
Right. Well, and actually tomorrow is one of those days. October 22nd is the last day that you can request a mail-in absentee ballot. And so it's really important to get that request in by 4 p.m. tomorrow in order to be able to do a mail-in ballot. Then what's coming up, the first day of excused in-person voting will be October the 23rd, and you have from October the 23rd to October the 25th, and then again from October the 28th to October the 30th for excused in-person voting. Then, for those who want to vote early and no excuses needed, is October 31st through November 2nd. So you have so many opportunities to vote early to make sure your vote is in and counted.
How important has this been, Scott, as you look at the community of folks that AARP Kentucky serves, to have these options, have other dates available to make sure that everyone, whether you have doctor's appointments or maybe you're volunteering elsewhere, but you can still make sure that your life goes on and you're a part of the voting process?
I think it's a terrific opportunity to give the voters more flexibility to skip the lines. They can plan ahead. They can go in early. And that's why I think these 3 days beginning October 31st are so wonderful, and it's just so much simpler to vote than when I began voting years ago and before the pandemic. But you can skip the lines, you can go vote early, and Secretary of State Adams has said repeatedly, if we don't use them, we're going to lose them.
Yep.
So get out there and vote beginning October 31st, in person, no excuse, walk in, walk out. Last year, I think maybe it took me 6-7 minutes to go in and vote.
It's simple, easy part of your day, and we're popping these dates up here one more time to make sure that people know some of those, whether you're voting in person or you want to make sure you return that absentee ballot. All of that information is right there on your screen. And then, of course, if you say, hey, I want to do it traditional way, I've already got maybe some time off from work or whatever it is that I had planned, Election Day will be Tuesday, November 5th. The polls open at 6 a.m. and you can vote until 6 p.m. Of course, we'll have a ton of information for you on Wave News that day. AARP Kentucky will have a lot of news for you as well. And so that leads me to my last question, Jackie. If any of the folks out there watching this segment, they need more information on your side of things, what's the best way to find it?
Absolutely. So AARP has a website. It's called aarp.org, KY/vote, and they can go to the website as well as the Kentucky ky.gov govote website for which is the statewide website.
Couple options to keep you informed. We've popped these up here on your screen. This is what the AARP voting page looks like, and you can find all that information. Some of the things we talked about here today with Scott and Jackie, and more information if you missed our other segment we got to do with AARP as well. Great having you both on. Thanks for the work that you're doing, getting us ready for Election Day.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Go vote.
Go vote. There it is. Well, stay with us here on Wave Listens Live. We've got 2 more great segments to go. Coming up next, we'll sit down with Centerwell Senior Primary Care. We're going to talk all about their newest location. It's out on Dixie Highway. We've got these wonderful details for you after this short break.
The Wave Charlie Wilson's Jen Air Kitchen is furnished by Miller's Fancy Bath and Kitchen, Kentuckiana Countertops, and Annabelle's Oriental Rugs. Thanks to these great sponsors.
On August 5th, 2022, at approximately 2:40 a.m., officers were dispatched to the 2500 block of Crittenden Drive on a report of a person down. Upon arrival, officers located Mr. Scott Wright on the ground next to his motorcycle, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Mr. Wright was declared deceased at the scene. When calling Crime Stoppers, you will never be asked for your name. You will always speak with a person when calling. In order to be eligible for a reward, you must call Crime Stoppers first. Crime Stoppers is celebrating 42 years serving Metro Louisville. Visit our website at 582clue.com. Then telephone 582-2583. Get your call.
The latest local news and the most accurate forecast on Wave News at 7 with Dawn and Ryan. The only local news and weather at 7 p.m.
I'm attorney Jim Desmond, and my law firm only handles car accident cases. I want to define for you the Desmond difference. The difference is, with me, you will receive